Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we continue our ranking of the most needed traitor gene lines by the Imperium. No real need for a spoiler warning today, but just keep in mind we may be referencing events from across the Warhammer 40k universe. And so with that out the way, let's waste no time and just jump straight in. So over the past few months, the galaxy and the Imperium has faced some rather important and dramatic developments. None more so than the arrival of Hive Fleet Leviathan and the commencing crusade across the Great Rift by Guilliman. With these big developments, alongside the new seeming confirmation of Alpha Primus indeed having traitor gene seed within him, I wanted to really sit down and rethink Belisarius Caul's use of the traitor gene seed, to ask which gene lines the Imperium needs the most right now. And so that's exactly what we're doing, ranking them from least to most needed. Which line of successor chapters would bring the most advantages? The main factors at play for my mind are 1. The defense and stability of Imperium Sanctus, 2. Stalling and defeating the Tyranids to the west, and 3. Guilliman's invasion of Imperium Nihilus. As always, this is just my opinion. Agree or disagree, drop your own thoughts in the comments below. With the last upload, I kicked off my ranking with the World Eaters as the least needed traitor gene line. And now today, in 8th position, I have the Alpha Legion. The Sons of Alfarius were a tricky one to place. In trying to plot out a list, I've had them as high as 3rd, and now I've ended up with them a fair bit lower. A range of successor chapters descended from Alfarius certainly has its own fair share of advantages. I think they would absolutely excel when it comes to the defense and stability of Imperium Sanctus. In that regard, a line of Alpha Legion Successors could be pretty unique, bringing something to the table that no one else quite does. As we see with the current day traitor warbands, the Alpha Legion have the unique ability to infiltrate and seed informants across the galaxy. They are unparalleled masters at it, and with the Legion's defection in the Heresy, it's a toolset that largely has gone missing within the Imperium's current chapters. Think how pivotal a role a line of Alpha Legion successors could play within Imperium Sanctus, becoming aware of a world's discontent years before the rest of the Imperium might, knowing a planetary governor was plotting rebellion before it even occurred, assassinating Tau diplomats in their first outreaches to forgotten Imperial systems, and perhaps even being able to snuff out fledgling gene-stealer cults before they became too embedded. The Sons of Alfarius could be taking out and cancelling threats before they even arose. There's no two ways about it. What an invaluable asset that would be. Something only the Inquisition can truly do now, with the chapters of the Astartes not mobilised before situations are critical, which by then is already too late. For all of Guilliman's disdain for his brother Alfarius, for all his preaching over his ways of war, I have to think he'd realise what an effective job a line of Alpha Legion successors could do, the much needed role that they could provide. And really, this aspect alone has me thinking they should be right up there, far higher on this ranking. And if this was pre-Fall of Cadia, they might be. If this was the 40k galaxy I grew up with, maybe they'd be at the very top. However, the galaxy has evolved, and it's the other particular factors at play here that just have me moving the Alpha Legion lower. Let's take the reconquest of Imperium Nihilus for example. If this was akin to the Great Crusade of old, it would be bread and butter to Alpha Legion Successors, an advanced force at the head of every Indomitus crusade. It would be perfect. But it's not. It's a war against chaos. It's a war against the very galaxy. The opportunity and ability to infiltrate chaos forces and worlds is largely non-existent. And for all the other foes in the galaxy, it is chaos who dominates the Dark Imperium. Countless worlds have fallen to the Dark Gods. Empires have been claimed. Demons walk the galaxy freely. That's not a war of subterfuge and infiltration. It's a war of force. So that already takes away a huge advantage that the Alpha Legion Successors would bring. Of course, they would still be completely capable of standard Astartes war as any chapter, but it's not their speciality. There are quite simply other lines who have traits more suitable in that regard. And I'm very aware I placed the World Eater line lower, due to this not being a war of annihilation to some degree. And that's right. There are still countless systems out there across the dark, holding out and waiting for salvation. An untold number who haven't fallen to chaos, who resist, or perhaps have simply spurned the Emperor for his abandonment. But the problem with the Alpha Legion line still here for me is that chaos still affects everything. The very warp assails you. Unless Guilliman has found a solution, or the Emperor pulls off something great, warp travel across the rift is going to remain incredibly hard. Each jump a fight for survival. Travel limited to a dozen small jumps, when previously it would have been just one. Navigation itself a struggle with no Astronomicon for guidance. All of this works against the Alpha Legion's style of infiltration, of subterfuge, of striking out alone. Yes, they could still be effective within a campaign once a system has been reached, but the whole war doesn't align with their full potential for me. And so that counteracts the huge benefit that they bring to Imperium Sanctus. And then there's the war against Leviathan. Sons of the Hydra could be as effective as any other chapter at launching Soulblade fleets, no doubt. But again, this foe greatly limits their real strength. You're not infiltrating the Tyranids. You're not gaining any information from undercover operatives inside. You're not able to assassinate the head of state or power. You've got a full fight on your hands. Now, the Alpha Legion Successors would be some of the best in pulling off an ambush, getting aboard a boarding assault. However, the Imperium has the Raven Guard line for that already, who in my opinion would at least equal the Alpha Legion in the ambush ability, and beat them in terms of combat. And even amongst their fellow Traitor Gene lines in terms of ambush preference fighters, I've got to say I would be rolling with the Midnight Clad over the Sons of the Hydra. And so for me, these two other theatres of war is what led me to have the Alpha Legion line here. They would bring a huge asset and boost to the stability of Imperium Sanctus for my mind, arguably enough on its own right to place them higher. I wouldn't argue with your rankings if you did, but with the current state of the galaxy, the state of warp travel across the rift limiting their effectiveness, a large degree of foes again not the best suited, it just leaves the other lines more useful to the Imperium entire for me. When you look at the success of their traitor warbands still surviving amid the Imperium, perhaps me having them this low down does seem a little harsh. But for me, it also actually confirms it in a way, because the Alpha Legion's main foe is the Imperium, a guerrilla war against humanity. And you could say that's exactly what they were created for. Humanity. And that's not the foe the Imperium has evolved to face. What the Imperium needs right now. And so for me, the Alpha Legion gene line lands in 8th, most needed by the Imperium. They would bring a huge advantage to the defense and stability of Imperium Sanctus, but the other factors just leave them a little wanting. But as always everyone, what do you think? Where would you place the Alpha Legion within your own rankings of most needed traitor gene lines for the Imperium? Do you agree with me with having the World Eaters then followed by the Alpha Legion? Or do you have other traitor gene lines as your least needed bottom 2? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.